Alright, welcome on in everyone to this episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bring you the first council shorter patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Today we're going to take a look at Essex 336 out of New Jersey. The council was originally formed in 1976 as the merger of Eagle Rock, Orange Mountain, and Robert Treat councils, and lasted up until 1999 when it merged with Bergen, Hudson Liberty, and Passaic Valley to form Northern New Jersey 333. When we look at more current collecting guides, they have streamlined all of the first issues to be T1. And when we look at older collecting guides, they had previously subdivided this into two variants, the T1A and the T1B. I have had some questions more recently as to why we still reference older collecting guides and that they had separated issues into previous variants like T1A and T1B. And it's not that we think that that is necessarily a more correct way to address it, but it does give us at least some semblance of what we believe the production order for the patches were. When we streamline and everything is just a T1, then without very specific visual collecting guides to give us more reference as to the order in which those may have been produced, we lose a little bit of that with the more recent notation. Now, whether or not that's the preferred method, we're not really trying to make a judgment call on that at all. We just use all the resources that we have, both newer information as well as older guides, to try and get the best picture possible for all of you, the viewer. It's also important to note that the previous variants, T1A, T1B, T1C, whatever, for any given issue, will generally give you relative order for that patch, but it doesn't provide the order for the council. Oftentimes the first issue is a standard issue, regular issue. It's meant to be uniform worn, and so because of that, they'll run out and they need to order more. And oftentimes those reorders then get classified, or at times were reclassified as a new variant because the color was a little different or whatnot. And so what you would get if you were actually looking at the production order for a council is they may produce the first patch and it's a T1A, for example, and then they have a special event and they produce an SA2 for Friends of Scouting or something as a fundraiser, and then they need to reorder their first again, and they reorder it and the color's a little different, so then that's labeled as a T1B. Well, in the guide it would say T1A, T1B, and then SA2. That doesn't give you the order that they actually were produced in reality. It's just putting together all of the T1 variants and then subsequent patches. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're a collector or you're newer to collecting and you're reading through collecting guides, that will often happen, and it's not telling you the exact order that all patches were produced from a council. And very frequently a council will open up and make 4 patches right at the beginning. They're all made at the same time, and then they have to put them in some kind of order. So that's then decided by the community as a whole and collecting guide authors, etc., etc. All right, let's head over to the patch table. So this was formerly a T1A with its white border, blue background with inner city scene, gold fleur-de-lis, and white letters. Nice classic twill patch here. We've got a gauze cloth back here on the T1A. The main deciding factor on what was listed previously as a T1A or a T1B is the color on the fleur-de-lis. So the gold fleur-de-lis, which also is this same border for the inner city scene, same thread, was going to be gold on the T1As, and they called it yellow on the T1Bs. Again, obviously that was probably just a reorder of their first issue. The color came back a little different, and they decided to previously label it as a B. Now they just say they're all T1s. Now, before we look at a T1B, we actually have a second production run that we think would still have been labeled a T1A. We do believe that both of these would be classified as gold, and I'll show you why. Here we have what we believe would be a T1 B, and you can see how much lighter that yellow color is, especially comparing it to the outlines on the cities. So this would have been yellow, certainly would have been labeled as a T1B previously. We'll look at that more closely in a second, but just to compare these two, it is a little easier to see the difference in color on these when you flip them onto their backs, and you can see the difference in relative gold colors. I do think both of these would still be classified as T1As. Both of them have gauze cloth backs here. There is certainly a chance, depending on someone's perspective, to have labeled this as yellow and made it a T1B. Again, all of that is kind of moot at this point because they're all just called T1s now. I might take that second one off and throw up what we think is the T1B. This one is distinctly different, decidedly, because it does have a plastic back for this T1B. But we also believe that this color is certainly much lighter in comparison. And I'll put this second T1A over here on the side so you can kind of see. We do believe that the two darker blue twills here would be classified formally as T1As, and we believe as far as production orders would have been ahead of what was then a T1B because of the yellow fleur-de-lis here. The council only ever produced one other patch, and that was their T2 for the 75th. So that would be a very distinctive patch and not confused here with the T1s. There you have it, first issue for Essex 336 out of New Jersey. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Remember, we're back every single day with brand new episodes. I want to thank you all for stopping in and making us a small part of your day. If you're enjoying the content, please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and share this with others. We really appreciate everyone helping us grow the channel so that we can share this amazing history of scouting in America with everyone. With that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you on the next episode.